Okay, so this is a quick video tutorial on reverb routing. I want to mention that this project assumes that you have already done Mixing 101 and that you've already set up your session in Pro Tools to take care of this particular task that the Mixing 201 calls for. That being said, what is important here is that you're using at least two stems, and they need to each be of different instrument types. So I've taken a couple of things from a larger session here, as you can see, and I actually have four of them just to show you how this all works. But you'll notice one's for a kick drum, one's for piano, one's for an electric guitar, and one is for lead vocals. They are all part of the same session, so they should play back in sync and in tune and all of that stuff. But the point is that a kick drum doesn't sound anything really like a piano or an electric guitar or a lead vocalist and any other combination, at least not in this particular context, so that you can hear all the difference. So just for sake of reference, I'm going to play the original tracks here for you as they are. You'll notice that there is absolutely nothing processed. I have nothing in terms of volume or panning or EQ or compression or anything like you have done in Mixing 101. Those things should get applied, obviously, when we're mixing, but this particular project is specifically focused on routing reverb, so I've left everything else off. You can apply all of those as appropriate to your own projects. But anyway, here is the original. And again, it's not mixed in any way, so there's a couple of issues right off the bat we're hearing sonically, but at least you can hear the original content here. So we've got our four samples, and real quick once again, we've got a kick drum, little bleed from the snare, but of course that's naturally going to happen with a drum kit. We have a piano. It's a little of ambience built into this one already, but that's okay. We're going to play with adding some more and controlling that. Here's the electric guitar. And then finally here's the lead vocal.
I know I've let you down before, and that I've hurt you bad. I know that sorry will not cut it.
Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to add an additional track. So we're going to go up to track, and we're going to go to new, and we're going to change this from mono to stereo, and we're going to do not an audio track, we're going to use an auxiliary input, and we're going to change the name here to reverb, and then we're going to hit create. Okay, now it put it right between my kick and piano because of what I had previously selected as the active track, so I'm just going to drag this down here so it's at the bottom. Just like any other situation, you can put the tracks in whatever order you want, but just for the sake of this one, I'm going to put the reverb at the bottom. Now, the next thing I need to do is I need to place a reverb unit on that track so that we can actually add some ambience. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add, and this is just like inserting EQ or compression or any other effect for that matter, but we're going to use it in a slightly different way because of the routing. So I'm going to go down here to reverb. I'm going to pick just a standard reverb here. I'm going to use deverb. I'm not going to really mess with any of the settings here. I'm going to, in fact, leave this as a large hall. This is not necessarily the reverb I would want to use for this particular type of session, but it definitely will allow you to hear the manipulation and control all of the different things in terms of routing. We're not going to get into all of these controls here in this particular project. We are literally just dealing with routing the signal. So I'm going to leave everything just as is so that you can hear it ultimately. The next thing I need to do, and this is where it gets a little tricky, is I need to send through that auxiliary line, and just like in an analog mixer we would do this. This parallels that exactly. But I need to send the signal individually from each track to my reverb unit. So here's how we're going to do this. We've been using the insert column quite a bit to put effects in. In this case, we are not putting a reverb unit on every single track. We're not doing that because A, it is going to bog down our computer CPU something awful. Reverbs can take up a tremendous amount of CPU power, which would basically completely stall us from being able to work, but also because there is a uniformity in general that we want. You can apply multiple reverb chains, as I'm about to show you, if you need a particular reverb type or setting for one particular sound in your session, and you need another one for some other types of sounds or whatnot, and that's totally cool. And I would certainly encourage you to experiment in that regard. But as a general concept, we're just going to deal with one reverb unit, and because of the way we're routing it, we're going to be able to control the amount of reverb independently on every single different instrument we've got here. So all 4 of these tracks in this particular case are going to have a different amount of reverb, even though they're all going through the same reverb unit. So let me show you how to do that. It's pretty simple as long as you get the right column. Okay, so I'm going to go up to send, and I need to pick a destination. So I'm going to make this easy on myself. I'm just going to go to track, and you'll see all my tracks are listed that are possibilities, and I'm just going to select the last one. And it's automatically now done the virtual wiring for me. And this fader now parallels an auxiliary potentiometer on an analog console. So let me give you a sense of how this could sound. And what I'm going to do is I am going to solo my kick drum, but I'm also going to do something very special with my reverb track. You can see how the reverb track right now got muted. And if I press the command key while I hit the solo button, it puts it in something called solo safe mode. And what that means is you'll see the mute went off. Well, that's because now, even if I am soloing other tracks, the other tracks that I don't have soloed are muted as you would expect, but my reverb unit is still active. All right, so we're going to take a listen real quick to the kick drum, and as we do that, I'm going to raise this fader and right here, and we're going to hear reverb get added. So here we go. This is our dry kick drum, and listen to how it changes as I raise this fader. Definitely starting to hear the reverb kick in. I'm going to go way overboard. Way too much reverb, but you can hear it. You can definitely hear it. By the way, up here I've got a mute button. If I mute this, I'll go to the extreme again just so you really hear it kick off. So I'm muting just the reverb. It's not muting the track, I'm just muting the reverb. You'll also notice I've got a panning knob here that actually allows me to pan the reverb separately from the panning of the track itself. We'll get to that in another lesson. There's a whole bunch of other things that we can do with this. But in any case, I've got reverb now on my kick. Now, I need to also get reverb on the piano. I need to get reverb onto my electric guitar and my lead vocals. Here's a little trick. If you want, you can select the track you want to, in this case, add the send to, the auxiliary send, and you can shift-click through all the tracks you want to add it to. Then you can hold Shift Option, and when you add the track send to 1, you're actually going to add it to all of them. I'm going to pick reverb, and you'll see now I've got it for all of them. The one that is in white is the one that is active. This one in blue, the reason it's in blue like that is because I have it muted. So if I take the mute off, there we go. Now, let's listen to that piano. We'll unsolo the kick drum. We're going to now solo the piano. Go here, make sure you're on the correct auxiliary. And it even says up here, that's the track we're on. It's the kick. Change it to piano, and you'll notice this says piano. Okay, here we go. Here's the piano. Add some reverb. Again, going way too far, but you can hear it, right? You'll also notice that you can monitor how much reverb is being applied, taking a look at this meter over here, which parallels the one on the individual track in this case. Now, when we add in multiple reverb tracks, or multiple tracks that are active, I should say, with reverb, that level may change here because now it's actually looking at everything. Let me expand that out a little bit for you. In any case, the point is we've got different reverb levels. This is for the piano, and this is for the kick drum right now. And you'll notice the kick drum is way up, pretty high, and the piano is kind of high as well, but not nearly as high. We can do this with the electric guitar as well. We'll solo that one. We'll shift over to its auxiliary, send to the reverb, and here's our dry guitar. Here's some reverb there. You can hear the tails of that a little bit lingering. Here is the vocalist, again shifting to the correct auxiliary control.
I know I've let
some
you
reverb
down
to his
before,
voice.
and that I've hurt you bad. I know that sorry will not cut it, but I can swear I'll try to turn the world apart.
So again, what's important here is if you've done the routing correctly, you can apply reverb to any and all of your tracks and in different amounts. So again, if you look at the auxiliary send settings here, that's for the vocalist, a different amount, slightly different, but different nonetheless. For the electric guitar, different again for the piano, different for the kick drum. This is not even necessarily the reverb we'd want to use for this kind of session, much less the settings, but this is really just to show you how the routing works, and hopefully this will allow you now to have more control over your mixes. We'll cover all the details of settings and whatnot later on in another lesson.